I mean, this is a sport that's on the precipice of irrelevance.
The games are taking over 3.5 hours. Playoff games are taking over 4 hours.
Game's too long, too slow. Who cares?
This is a situation where baseball's in trouble to begin with.
I hate to break it to you, baseball's dead.
Baseball is dead.
Oh, rest in peace.
Oh, rest in peace indeed. I was resting in peace last night, Jayhay. But last night started with, that's right, every Tuesday, you know what the deal is. You know how we do. Just the nuts. It was an outstanding show, as it always is.
It was great to have your energy there last night. It was fun.
Well, I tell you what, I stumbled into an absolute fucking nightmare because, and Jayhay, you have joined our my fantasy league with my boys back home that we've been doing for 15 plus years. Yeah, is it fair to say that I'm not a huge fan of the platform we're using? Yes. Is it fair to say that everybody else in the league is not a huge fan? Yes. That being said, I have not paid much attention to what has been going on there for the last, I don't know, well, for I guess the first 2 weeks or so. I say all that to say this. When I jumped on Just the Nuts last night, I jumped on just in time on Just the Nuts to watch the third homer fly over the wall against my newly added Ryan Weathers to the fantasy team, which was not ideal. And Coley was just like, "Oh my God, that's 3 in a row." That's it. I'm like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Oh, 3 in a row? Shit, this has already happened twice. We're fucking 3.5 minutes into this game right now. What are you talking about? It's already 3-0. Ryan Weathers outing torched. Like I just felt so good. Good about.
And yet he had more to give.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was not a deal. So that's how the party started on Just the Nuts. But it was great banter as always. We started breaking down music once again. We were going over concerts and the most influential moments of concerts and music in our life. Jared shitting all over Korn, which was weird because he really took a stand for Korn a week ago or so. Quite a 180 he's done on that. Unfortunately, he's not here to defend himself and his absolutely atrocious music takes. But Jay, I think we've had some action here early on. We got a huge signing. We got a lot to go over. What caught your eye initially when you started to put the rundown together, and how shocked were you, if at all shocked, that because I think for me the news of the day has been the McGonigle extension, obviously.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? And I say that because we kind of touched on it yesterday with, and it was me when I say we, I say I, with the Terrence Skubal, the roll of the dice, what the Tigers are doing. And now here they are signing up Kevin McGonigle, 8 years, $150 million, escalators up to $160 million. What I love about the contract as well is it's just a built-in, like, hey, you want to get rid of me? You're going to pay. Because there's a $5 million assignment bonus for every time that this contract switches hands. So you want to send me, you want to send me to the Dodgers? Sweet. That'll be another $5 million in my bank account. They get tired of me and want to send me to some other competitor, maybe Uncle Stevie in New York likes what he's seeing. Sweet. That's another $5 million to my bank account just because you're trying to move me. And I genuinely appreciate just little nuance, little shit like that when it comes to the negotiation. But what was the signing bonus? Is it a $10 million signing bonus, $15 million signing bonus? Something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm looking for $14 million signing bonus and then the $5 million reassignment bonus or whatever it might be. So yeah, I mean, I feel like my take on this is like it's just not hot enough, but I can't come up with anything. I just feel like these deals are like, it feels like a guaranteed win for both player and team in a sense. Like there's obviously,
really?
I think so. Cause like,
I think that is a take. And it's a take because there is no guarantee in terms of performance, and if you're talking about guarantee, I think you have to bake into that this player, I mean, look, when you sign a dude up to an 8-year, $150 million deal, I mean, maybe I ask this another way. Out of those 8 years, how many times does he make the All-Star team, Jayhay? How many times is he within the top 10 of MVP voting?
Yeah. Turn it into a little mini feud within the question. I mean, I don't think Kevin McGonigle is likely to win MVP awards. I think he's very likely to be like a down ballot MVP candidate for a lot of years and a lot of time. I think he's going to be a very broad based, very, very good player for a very long time. So like, I can understand the idea that signing a guy who I believe he was the youngest Detroit player to start on opening day in 23 seasons, a guy with so little pro experience at the time of the extension. Like I know that feels inherently risky, and I guess there's always the possibility that I don't know, he just goes completely sideways. But like players of this caliber who have performed up till this point, and to his credit, small sample size, have more than kept their heads above water in their first taste of the big leagues. Like I feel like over an 8-year deal at less than $20 million per year, when you just average annual value it out over the whole thing, it's very unlikely to be that big of a risk for the Tigers moving forward, given how much money there is in the game. And that leads me to my other point, which I think you will have more insight on currently than I would, which is there are a lot of these deals getting done. Right.
Yes.
Like, and like Connor Griffin was a big deal. Kevin McGonigle, this is a big deal. Like this is maybe not the landmark event that Connor Griffin signing with the Pirates is, just because of the Pirates history, but in terms of the future of the Tigers, this is just as important to the Tigers as it is to the Pirates.
And I would think so, simply because of what I was talking about yesterday on Just the Nuts. If you have made the decision to roll the dice with Tarek Skubal, and it's probably with the understanding that you feel like you're just not going to be the suitor. You're just not going to be in a position to come up with that kind of money and be able to make that kind of commitment, whether you want to or not. Those are two different things. Let's separate those, because the Tigers could still very much want Tarek Skubal, which I believe they do. But they could also very much understand that they just will not be the lead horse in that race when it comes to financial compensation, what they're willing to do, and a combination of what they're capable of doing. Yep. And I think those two things can be true. So we saw them pivot with Framber Valdez. I'm not calling this a pivot, but if they feel like they have somebody that can start to help them shore things up on a position player side, while understanding that Tarek Skubal is not going to be a factor for them, or is probably out of their league, then do it. And part of me, as cynical as I am, part of me wants to believe that this is also somewhere in their deep, deep corners of their hearts and minds, ownership groups are saying to themselves, as much as we might be hunting that cap, maybe that's not a thing that's coming. And if that means that we have to lock this young talent up now so that we don't allow them to continue to get to the point where they're going to demand and fetch, massive contracts that we, the Tigers, are just not going to be in a position to play for. Well, then let's do that. And Mr. McGonigle, how'd you like to be a Tiger for life? Or at least for the next 8 years. And I think maybe that could be something that Tigers fans can hold on to. And maybe that could be something that young players around the league who are having concerns about whether or not they're ever going to have their earning power capped can hold on to. Yeah. Because I think this is a signal, in a way, depending on how you want to look at your glass, is it half full, is it half empty, that this could be the signal that says, hey, you know what? As much conversation as we're having about the salary cap, brother, the Tigers are spending $150 million on a rookie shortstop to try to lock him in and keep him in the Motor City for as long as they possibly can. And maybe that's because they think, or maybe they know something that we don't, which is, as much as we might want the cap, I don't know if that's something we're going to be seeing any time soon. I don't know.
And
I don't know.
I think that's a great point. And if I was, obviously neither of us are on the inside, but that to me would be the tea leaf reading of the situation as well. Like I also just, like, of course you want Tarek Skubal and all that sort of stuff, but in a sane world, teams are probably best off, and this is not breaking news. This has been the case for basically all of history. It is a safer approach to build your foundation around the position player, right? The position player core is obviously going to historically be the more stable way to build from the ground up. And then to, add the pitching, and obviously it has to be a combination of everything, but to add the key pitching pieces as you're ready to go. And I think this is just a measure of, to you said, a measure of hope for the Detroit Tigers. There is a plan. There's a future. There's something to hold on to if there's a post-Skubal world. And again, the beauty of this sort of extension is that it works whether Skubal's on the team or whether Skubal is not on the team, because you would want him as your anchor moving forward regardless. So, and he may honestly, like, it seemed, this is maybe the hottish take yet, but like, would it surprise you even a little bit if, fuck the end of the season, if the All-Star break, if next month we were like pretty much universally acknowledging Kevin McGonigle as the most well-rounded, best offensive player on the Tigers?
No, not at all. And that's I'm glad you brought that up, because there are markers here that lead one to believe that is going to be the case. And I just look, I think anytime, especially in this day and age, Jayhay, anytime we start to see players emerge through the minor league systems with the ability to put the bat on the ball, but not only the ability to put the bat on the ball, but plate discipline. That is such a massive, massive area of concentration for me when I start to evaluate a player. In, I think, especially depending on the position they play, right? Because is McGonigle going to be a power supply for the Detroit Tigers over the course of his 8 years? I don't know that Kevin McGonigle is going to be hitting or threatening to hit 30 to 40 homers every year. I don't know if that's going to be the case, right? Probably not. But when we talk about putting the bat on the ball and being able to sink into your defined strike zone, especially at a young, early age. Now, things change in the big leagues, all right? Because stuff is just that much harder, has just that much more life to it, and the guys are that much more consistent around the strike zone, which makes hitting that much more difficult. I say all that to say this. This is a dude over his 3 years in the minor leagues, Jayhay, has walked 123 times, punched out 84 times, okay? So anytime I start to see things like that, you've got my attention. And now you take a look at, I mean, you can just pull up his Baseball Savant page and what that thing looks like in terms of being able to get to the baseball. Like, there's limited chase, there's limited swing and miss, there's limited punch, there's a wonderful ability to get on base via the plate discipline, right? Like, and this isn't a guy who's torching the baseball, right? He's not lighting up the exit velo charts, but he is hitting the baseball consistently. And we understand, like, to be able to get the sweet spot of the bat on the ball, like, that's, now we're talking about barrel awareness, right? And there's a difference. Like Luis Ariz, all right? Take a guy like that. That's a guy who, in terms of exit velocity, is probably not going to light you up. But when we talk about being able to square up baseballs, put the barrel on the ball consistently, that is a skill. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely a skill. And you combine everything that I was just talking about with that, I think you see where we're going, and I think the Tigers see where McGonigle is going and where he can be able to contribute to this team. I mean, as of right now, Jay, hitting 394 against the fastball, 188 against a combination of breaking balls. Okay, that's fine. Change up and split, right? Off speed, 250. So this is a guy who, at this point, hasn't had much issue getting to the heaters. There's a ton of disgusting wipeout breaking shit that's going on in baseball right now that's going to be tough for anybody to get to. And at his age, look, man, you're posting a 15% walk rate, 11% K rate right now. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah, we got, I guess the last thing I'll say, we can move on, I guess, but the ESPN Top 100 Prospects list, Kylie McDaniel obviously runs that. And in the preseason Top 100, obviously Connor Griffin was the universal number one, so he's taken a lot of the shine. McGonigle was the universal number two. And so in a lot of worlds, I think this extension gets even more hype than it will end up getting. And in that blurb, he said, and this is approximate, of course, just one person's opinion, but it seems reflective of the industry to a degree. He said he reminds him of somewhere between Bryce Turang and Jose Ramirez. And that's kind of where I go with the contract extension, is if on the low end, he's Bryce Turang, I think we're all taking 8 and 150 for Bryce Turang's production through the entirety of his 20s. Like, you're going to get Kevin McGonigle's prime, and if that's the floor, so to speak, and the ceiling is, something closer to a perennial MVP candidate who's maybe not quite at that, yearly winning mark, then that's a home run deal. So I just like the Connor Griffin extension, like the Roman Anthony extension. I just feel like these are all, I understand taking the money for the player side, like, no question. That's why I said I think it's a win for both sides. But I think these will all work out very, very well for the team side as well.
Jayhay,
Yo,
pull it up. I want to know where our friends at Kalshi
Okay.
right now have the public
Yep.
opinion sitting when it comes to Kevin McGonigle and the AL Rookie of the Year odds. What's that market looking like? Has that market changed? Has there been a shift in that market right now? Because I believe the last time I took a peek, Chase DeLauder was the lead horse in that race. But I would wonder if already by the time of this information dropping, that market has changed ever so slightly for Kevin McGonigle. Not saying he's closed the gap to the point where they're neck and neck or he's even taken the lead, but maybe, just maybe, the public is saying, you know what? Don't sleep on Kevin McGonigle.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely into it. It's at McGonigle's market is at 28% right now, so it's second among AL rookies. DeLauder, as you said, is Chase DeLauder of Cleveland is the leader at 36%. I will say, looking at the recent trends, though, it's basically been like a basketball weave sort of situation on the chart between these two guys over the last couple of weeks. They've kind of been rotating who's the lead dog and stuff like that. Then Carter Jensen of the Royals, who's obviously after sleeping in or missing the alarm, has been among the best catchers, if not the best offensive catcher in baseball since that moment. And then Kazuma Akamoto trails, and Murakami and Akamoto are tied in fourth place with 6%, so pretty distant there. Murakami's trends have been heading in the wrong direction. But yeah, DeLauder 36, McGonigle 28. But I mean, personally, I'm all over McGonigle if it's an either or scenario there. And obviously, I'm a Guardians guy, have big hopes for DeLauder, but in terms of who the better prospect is or who is more likely to, let's say, stay on the field, given their track records, I think McGonigle is the better option right now.
Yeah, I think I'm probably with that. I think I'm probably in that same train car as you because I've liked everything that I've seen from McGonigle. Talking to teammates of his, there's just a, I'm not going to call it like a, there's just a different air about this guy. This is just a kid who gets it, I think, and a kid who has already shown that he's willing to put the work in, and the skill set is matching up. So if you want to get on that train too, head on over to Kalshi and dip your toe in that market, which, look, we need to give a quick shout out to our sponsors over at Kalshi.
Please.
It's the largest prediction market in the United States. Kalshi allows you to trade and win real money on events like sports, entertainment, and we want to make one thing clear. Kalshi, not a sports book, all right? It's not a sports book. On Kalshi, you're not playing against the house. You're trading head-to-head against other people. Kalshi just runs the marketplace. That's it. They're the facilitator, if you will. This makes Kalshi an exchange. That means they do not profit when you lose, right? So it's purely the market. The lines are not set by them. Lines move based on where the money goes. What is the public feeling right now? Public opinion is what sets the line, not some algorithm that's out to bang you. That's not how this works. Kalshi is not regulated by states. Instead, it is a CFTC approved, meaning it's federally regulated exchange, which is why it's available across the entire United States. So if you want to try it for yourself, which I recommend, Kalshi is going to give you $20 when you trade $20 when you use our promo code BID. That's promo code BID. Go get your 20 bones. When you sign up, promo code BID on the Kalshi app. So make sure you check them out today, which Jayhay leads me to this next question.
Yeah.
Is Ohtani just a lock for everything? Like everything. Like you wake up and it's just Ohtani day every day? right now?
I know we've had versions of this conversation before, so I won't belabor it, but there was a part of me last night that was kind of digesting the MVP and Cy Young and just kind of the scene that's happening over at those awards very early on. And just marveling at the idea that we're having the same but a new conversation about Shohei Ohtani. And like the way that it was, the way that I put it in perspective in my stupid numbers brain was, in this case, looking at the Kalshi market, because right now he's 65% to win the NL MVP. The next best option is Ronald Acuna Jr. at 9%.
Oh,
that's
not even a knock on Ronnie.
No, he's not playing particularly well. Like, he's not lighting the world on fire, but no, it's no knock on him. Corbin Carroll's at 6%, and Juan Soto, who I think we kind of universally agreed was the default best option to maybe unseat him this season if we had to pick a person, is at 5%. And like, so there's that part of it where we said something like this in the offseason where it was like, the person who's really best equipped to unseat Shohei Ohtani as an NL MVP candidate probably isn't fully matured into the MVP candidate. I think we mentioned Connor Griffin as like, it could be this guy, but like the current field, and it's not even like a weak field. This isn't about those guys really. It's just about, they're not ascending to a level where it feels like they're real genuine competition for Ohtani should Ohtani stay on the field. And then you go to the pitching side of it, which is a huge component of this, and you look at the NL Cy Young odds, and you're like, let me make sure. I'm going to get the most recent. I just want to make sure. The NL Cy Young currently has Shohei Ohtani at 9%, which is tied with Sandy Alcantara for the 7th best. So he is not the favorite by any means, but the market has him at the same odds to win the Cy Young as they have the best non-Ohtani option to win the NL MVP. And the idea that he's as close to winning the Cy Young in theory as anyone else is to touching him in the MVP is just kind of like a he's doing it again sort of moment.
Said a different way, Jayhay. How about this? His odds of winning the Cy Young are just 1% lower right now than they are to win the Cy Young and MVP together. Think about that.
That's a brand new market, by the way.
That's a brand new market. A brand new market with Kalshi right now. That market has just materialized, has just popped up, and is hanging on the vine, waiting for you to dabble in it. Does he win the Cy Young and MVP? The fact that the odds of him winning the Cy Young are pretty much even with the odds of him winning the Cy Young and MVP tells you all you need to know about how this dude's season is going, right? He's still on a unearned run streak as far as on the mound. He's still got the longest active on base streak as a hitter.
Yep.
I mean, the dude is just on, he's not on another planet. He is his own separate universe, right? Like he's way over there. He is just a completely different specimen.
Also,
good.
No, also on the bump tonight.
Yeah.
He's the nightcapper against the Mets and Clay Holmes, 10 o'clock Eastern on the mothership ESPN if you're inclined to tune in. I mean, I'll obviously be bookmarking that one, watching Ohtani pitch. But one more thing before we move on from the NL Cy Young kind of marketplace that struck me is that Yoshinobu Yamamoto has passed Paul Skeens, according to the Kalshi NL Cy Young market. He's it's fractional. It's 21% to 20%. And there are, Mizorowski's at 17, Sanchez and McLean are at 15. So it's a pretty spread situation right now, but and this is not the first time that Yamamoto has passed Paul Skeens, but I do think it's interesting that we're on April 15th and, Yamamoto's looking a lot like the guy who was, putting up what is a legitimately legendary World Series performance, in the fall.
Who was your I'm trying to remember because I know for me it was between Yamamoto and Skeens. I believe I went Yamamoto, but the only reason that I'm not convinced I went Yamamoto is because I brought up the idea that Yamamoto is coming off the workload that he was coming off of during the postseason, and that was going to be the only thing that held me back from maybe selecting Yamamoto. But I do believe that I went Yamamoto for Cy Young, and it was, again, large part due
nice,
to
dude. Well, congratulations. I can't remember who I went for NL Cy Young, and we unfortunately have to keep this train moving along.
No, Jay. Who was your selection, Jay?
All I'm gonna say is that it's a great time to get in on the Yuri Perez market. Okay, so it's at less than 1% on Kalshi if you're inclined. So, in fact, it's great. It's grayed out, so I'm not even sure that. Maybe that means you can't. I'm not sure, but
that is unfortunate. It's like a weed in the sidewalk. I mean, it was strong. You wonder how it got there. It was promising. It was.
We're not bailing. We're not
taking root. But as of right now, Jayhay, Yuri looking for a different guy to ride there, or Yuri looking for a different Cy Young candidate?
No, we're going to ride it out with a Yuri, and it's not like a Garrett Crochet start to the season where he's completely tanked his Cy Young odds, you know what I mean?
Where they're wondering if Garrett Crochet can go play outfield or something because it's not working on the mound. Is that what you're saying?
That was an unnecessary side swipe by me because I was mad about Yuri Perez, but
that was shots fired. I can't believe Jayhay just said Garrett Crochet shitbag on the mound. Boston should look to move him. That was aggressive. I didn't see that coming, Jayhay. Something we were talking about the Dodgers. Something I did want to take a look at, just because I love heartwarming stories like this. Alex Vesia, had a pretty cool night, and I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you picked this out, because it was a night where the Dodgers were acknowledging like first responders, right, emergency workers, nurses, and stuff. And Alex Vesia, who we understand he and his wife went through tragedy last year in losing their child. He has all of the nurses at the hospital that were there to help he and his wife through that incredibly, incredibly difficult moment. And I think it's not only cool that he and his wife are at the point now where they can start to work through this on a public front, because that sort of emotion is rarely reserved for anybody outside of your immediate family. And when I say immediate family, I mean there's folks who are dealing with similar situations who never tell anybody, who just bear that cross for the remainder and never ever are able to get to a place of comfort where you can share that and release that emotion. And so I do want to say that I think that's probably a credit to not only, obviously it's a credit to their inner circle and their family unit, but to the Dodgers, to his teammates, to be able to get to a point where you're like, you know what, I want to do something special for these folks who helped us get through this. So on a night where Alex Vesia and his wife are hosting all of those people who had a hand in getting them through and helping them through one of the most difficult moments anybody will ever experience on earth, Alex Vesia goes out there and absolutely dominates. It's a perfect ninth inning, punches out the side, and that right there, there's just, when you draw things up like that, like, hey, I want you to come to the ball game today. I'd love to see you before the ball game. I just want to share with you guys, my place. This is my sanctuary. Thank you, because you've helped kind of give us that back a little. We're working through it every day, but we're at a point now where we're able to say thank you. And you go out there and you do that. You go out there and you perform like that. These are not on the same scale. They're not even scalable, but I just want to kind of put it into context. That's like having your, your relative that you haven't seen or you've been reunited with or whatever it is. And you're like, hey, come to the ball game. I'd love to have you out, and what do? You want to perform, right? Like if you go out and you go 0 for 4 with 3 punchies, yeah, the reunion, not so great, but you still feel good about the idea that you were able to bring them to the ballpark and you're able to share that moment and have that fun. But to have those people there and go out and then perform the way he did, it is 100% because of them that he and his wife are in a place to be able to experience this. And I couldn't be happy. I mean, it's not like I know Alex and his wife personally, but just following their journey and giving a shit about people, I couldn't be happier that they're going through this the way they are now, that they're able to kind of sift through the emotion and experience these moments, because I can only believe that is extremely therapeutic for them on so many different levels.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely my takeaway from that game last night. And we touched on Yamamoto, and McLean was obviously dealing as well, and all that sort of stuff. I just can't even imagine. I'm lucky enough to have kids, but the idea to endure something like that and then to have to like perform publicly, like just in general. I would feel that way if the performance was getting on a podcast. Like I don't know that I would have the strength for that. And he's going out and doing what he does, for the best team in Major League Baseball. So yeah, I don't know him either, but certainly to say you had more respect for him, it feels like kind of weird, but it's just like, it's a sign of some level of strength that I don't know that I'm personally capable of summoning. And I hope that, obviously, that nobody has to summon that strength, but that he has, I think, is very remarkable. You see emotion on the field, like when you win the World Series and when you when you do something cool in the game or just win a game or whatever. But to see that level of emotion and know like what the backdrop is to it does feel a little different. Just feels a lot of different things. You want to run through some rapid fire storylines here, and I kind of want to pitch them at you for a second, if you don't mind, and get your reactions, and then we can kind of see where it goes. Sure. Quickly on the Mets, like I know you touched on some of the Lindor stuff yesterday. We did more of it on Just the Nuts again last night. Like, I know he hit his first homer last night. Put like the leadership stuff aside, put the Kipnis stuff aside, I'm just going to straight. Do you think that the Mets would be better off trading Francisco Lindor in an effort to redistribute that money into other places of the roster, or however or maybe redistribute and cut pay, like whatever their combination is here? Or do you think that Francisco Lindor's talent weighs out and that they are better off keeping the talent?
Oh man, that's such a tough question. That's a great question, Jayhay.
Because Jared and I were going back and forth on this.
Because I think one perspective is, and this is something that a lot of old school baseball minds will tell you, and this is something that I think is becoming harder and harder for people around the game these days to understand. But I think to an extent they get it. And I'm not calling Francisco Lindor this, but what I will say is teams need assholes. You need an asshole or two on your team just to kind of keep things lively, to keep things bubbling, if you will. And Francisco Lindor is not outwardly a mean guy. He's not somebody who's walking into the clubhouse and creating friction intentionally. That's not who he is, right? So he's not that asshole to just come in and ruffle feathers on purpose because he's harsh, brash, and abrasive. That's not who this dude is at all, by all accounts. What we have learned is that he is somebody who beats to his own drum and isn't necessarily willing to put the headphones on your head so you can hear that drum beat. And he's not willing to invite anybody else into a room and take those headphones off and turn that music up so everybody gets to hear that drum beat. He's just going to beat to his own drum in his own headphones. He's an OFP guy, own fucking program. And that can be an issue because you're not willing to get on board with what the collective is trying to do. And you're also not willing to bring people on board with what you're trying to do individually. And that creates friction. And I don't necessarily know that that is the kind of friction that you want to be dealing with on a day in, day out basis, where you're wondering if a guy who has been labeled a leader and was the face of the franchise, and that still might be a conversation that we're having even in the face of the arrival of Juan Soto, you don't want that dude representing those sort of questions. Why do we have those questions about a guy who should be leading the charge?
Yeah.
I don't want those questions about a guy who should be helping galvanize this clubhouse. So are you better off without Francisco Lindor? From a productivity perspective, I think the answer is a resounding no. And just because he's off to a slow start doesn't mean that Francisco Lindor is a bad player. It's been a slow start. I think we've had the discussion about who Francisco Lindor is, not only in the pantheon of shortstops in his generation, but overall. So if you think that the Mets are better off without Francisco Lindor, who do you plug in to fill that void? And if it's not a void that you feel can be filled by one player, then where do you redistribute that money? How do you reallocate that money? And where do you go from there? Because is it moving Francisco Lindor and putting yourself in position to be the lead dog in the hunt for Tarek Skubal when he hits the market? Is it moving him now and almost railroading what could be your postseason hopes by trying to figure out how you're going to fill that void for Francisco Lindor? Do you want to find yourselves in July when it's time to start adding pieces to your puzzle, still wondering where the piece that you were supposed to plug in is because you haven't been able to answer those questions after moving Lindor?
No, I'm with you. If it's moving Lindor to then sign Skubal, I guess that's one thing. But to me, teams are generally not, especially a team that was marketed as being able to sustain multiple massive contracts. Like that's the Steve Cohen edge. I just don't it's not apples to apples, but do we feel like the Red Sox are in a better place because they quote unquote solved their Rafael Devers problem? I don't believe that anybody feels that way at this point. Maybe
they're still talking about him. They're still talking about him.
They're still obsessed over it, and it's and not even like a misplaced obsession necessarily. Maybe people will feel differently in 5 years when Rafael Devers' decline has set in, and they'll look very smart. But in the present, and that's always the deal with these large contracts, right? We all know they're going to be bad on the back end. We all know that the back half of Francisco Lindor's contract may be problematic or something the last 3 years, whatever. But if you're trading him to break him into smaller pieces, I just don't. I say good luck.
I think what's happened there. I just want to kind of sparse through that real quick because I love the fact that you brought up the Devers situation. I mean, that's a little stickier than the Lindor stuff. I think,
no doubt.
It was absolutely how the communication was handled with Rafael Devers, right? And the fact that he was open and honest with you and was like, I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the thing I want to do. And then you sort of publicly shamed him into, or allowed the public shaming to occur, that he just now doesn't want to be a team player. He had a valid rebuttal. You didn't like his response, and then you took him to court publicly.
But just think of how quickly it turned into, I have Rafael Devers in my hands. I'm going to swap it out. I have this. I have nothing. Yep. Nothing. Nothing is left.
Devers, Bregman, gone.
Jarren Duran flipped. If you didn't see this, then I'm not going to put you on the spot. But Jarren Duran flipped off a fan, apparently told him to go kill himself. Do you have a reaction there?
I do. Do I understand where Jarren Duran is coming from? Yes. I will use a personal experience that I had multiple times in places where people understood that I had lost my mother. And this happened in New York multiple times, where warming up in the bullpen, people are telling me how big of a whore my mother was. People are telling me it's a good thing that she's gone because she doesn't have to watch her terrible career unfold and this and that and the other. And you want to know what I did? I kept warming up. I kept warming up. Does it bother you to hear those things? You're a human being. Of course it does. Of course it does. And this is where I think being able to grow up and learn the power of compartmentalization is is something that can benefit an individual. I tried to put the fact that my existence in this moment is what is going to allow me to provide a life for my grandmother, and me going over the wall after somebody, me turning around and throwing my 84-mile-an-hour fastball off some idiot's forehead is not going to do anything for me. It's going to give me 5 seconds of gratitude, and then from there, I'm right back to square one. I'm doing everything that I didn't want to do, and I'm not able to take care of my grandmother. But that was something that I learned. I had to learn the hard way, because I was somebody who was quick to flash and quick to jump at anybody who had anything to say about, don't you talk about my mama. And that's only going to get you so far, man. That's only going to do so much for you. And so I truly feel bad for Jarren, because I know what it's like to go through having people fire those kind of arrows at you. Now, I don't know what his personal journey has been like. I can only imagine. Obviously, it's been documented, and those individual demons that you battle on a daily basis, they can come calling at any point in time. And it might not be today that you hear that pushes you to a brink that you've never been to, but that could happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it could be just one word that you hear. And like you said, it's still triggering. So do I understand that? Yes. Do I sympathize with that? Yes. Would I also like to see him continue to receive help, hopefully, that will allow him to learn and acquire the tools to power himself through these things mentally? I would, because it's important. And I think that the more and more he's able to do that, the more and more, or I guess I should say, the closer I think he becomes to being the player that he knows he can be and wants to be, that the Red Sox would love to see him be. So for the fans who want to talk shit on this dude and say, I'm out on Jarren Duran, blah, blah, blah. If you had the battles that he's had and they were public and people were showing up to your work on deadline day, getting your project done, getting this turned in, like, are we going to be able to close this account or whatever it is? Yeah. And somebody just wants to walk by your office and go, oh, hey, by the way, pressure's on. You got 15 minutes to close this deal. Can you go off yourself, please? Because you're shit. You've been dropping accounts left and right. You're a fucking bum. Like, how'd you like that? Would you have a reaction? I bet you probably would. Oh, yeah. And would you want people to understand where you're coming from when you fire double rockets at them? You probably want some grace.
Oh yeah, I've chafed it much less than that. In your boring old work environment. On a much lesser or a much lighter note, I guess, the Angels launched 5 homers. That included home runs from Mike Trout. Putting the other guys aside, respectfully to them, I want your off-the-cuff response here, okay?
All right.
And I'm almost blowing a feud question by doing this, but I'm just going to use it with you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how back is Mike Trout?
Ooh.
388 on base percentage, 895 OPS, 158 OPS plus. And if you look at the quote unquote advanced numbers, that they would say that that's actually underselling what Mike Trout is doing. And in fact, his ex-WOBA is the second highest in Major League Baseball among qualified batters right now, behind only Yordan Alvarez. He is higher than Jordan Walker. He's higher than Ben Rice. How back is Mike Trout?
Oh, I mean, you're talking about my AL comeback player of the year here. Is who you're talking about. And I like what you're talking about here. I'm gonna say a 7. Yeah. I'm gonna say a 7. I hate the fact that you are asking this question, because now the Discord knows what my answer is going to be, and so they might just tiptoe around.
Oh,
that.
No! I'm not going to use it now.
Bitches.
I'm not going to use it now. Yeah, no.
Good, you snake. But yeah, I think it's fair to say he's much more back than he's not back. He is much more back to being what Mike Trout is capable of than wondering what kind of Mike Trout you're going to get. I think what this does now is just moves the conversation forward to the point of, will he stay healthy? Because we're never going to question what Mike Trout can do. That's never going to be a conversation. It'll happen with time, when Father Time comes knocking, and he does for everybody. Then we'll start to have that conversation, like when is it time? But right now, when you're seeing this type of performance, the only question is not, can he maintain it? can he just stay healthy? Because I believe that we all think if he's healthy, this is the kind of shit you can expect from Mike Trout.
Yeah, and I agree, and I'll slightly disagree also. Not with the 7. I think the 7's pretty much spot on. But, like, the idea that, like, you're never questioning what Mike Trout's going to give you when he's on the field. Like, I do think to a degree, I'll speak for myself, I was at least questioning that to a degree. I was wondering what sort of value add are we going to get from Mike Trout moving forward in terms of, the like, whatever. Of course, the impact on Angels winning, but really Mike Trout's legacy as a great player. Like, how much further are we going to advance the ball on that? And entering this season, even if, like, I think I was, like, not, like, I had hope that Mike Trout could get back to a renaissance season, but, like, that his underlying batted ball data is as impressive as it is, to me, opens up actually something of, like, a different, or a sub question, which is like he's not winning MVP awards anymore, but, like, can this be like something of a final act that we weren't anticipating, where you're getting, like, real high impact seasons from him, or a season or two that maybe, like, the last 2 or 3 years where he wasn't bad. We're not saying he's like end Pujols or something like that, but, like, where it didn't look like that true impact level down ballot MVP guy was going to appear. And maybe he is. Like, I mean, and it's not like last year the underlying batted ball data was as good as it is right now, and for some reason he just never performed up to the level. Like, this is markedly better than what he has been doing in recent years, and in fact, in a lot of cases, aligns very well with prime era Mike Trout in terms of how hard he's hitting the ball, like what he can be expected to get out of the batted balls that he's delivering. So I don't know. I'm with you on the 7, I think, but I think it's super cool that we're having this conversation.
You know what I think about? I think about Mike Trout playing center field. That's what I think about. I don't want to say it's as simple as that, but if you look at Mike Trout overall in his career, and you look at when they started to talk about moving him around and when they started talking about floating his position defensively, that's what was his last, was it 2022?
His last great year.
Well, I'm trying to think of, like, his last year where he had, like, 500 ABs, was playing center field.
Yeah.
Like his last. Yeah. Like, okay. Because I'm trying to think, was he playing center field in 2023, or is that when they were like, hey, should we?
Let me pull up his splits from 23. Because
I want to say
he played 7. Yeah. He played primarily in center in 23. Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
yeah.
Yeah.
But those are, but he started to play other positions, right?
Started to play some DH.
Well, I mean, just DH at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah. 24 was kind of a washed year, and then last year he was completely out of center field.
So the take-home message is that I'm trying to deliver is Mike Trout being back in center field, and Mike Trout being comfortable where he's at as a baseball player on the baseball field is playing a large part in the success that Mike Trout is having right now, because it just feels like he's back home. Well, time now, I think, to drop this little nugget on you. Our friends over at BetterHelp, they've always got a good read on how to put yourself in a better spot mentally. We could all use help putting ourselves in a better spot mentally. And we all understand, and especially during baseball season, this is something that has been an issue and was an issue for a long time, especially as a minor league player, Jayhay, when you're quite literally counting change, right? Financial stress affects far more than our bank accounts. It can take a serious toll on mental health, relationships. 88% of Americans feeling some form of financial stress at the start of this year. Money worries often bring anxiety, sleep disruption, depression, and one of the leading sources of conflicts for couples. So this month, we want to normalize the emotional weight of financial stress and remind people that struggling with money doesn't mean they've failed. Sometimes it's just about accessing the right kind of support. And I couldn't agree more with that. It does not define who you are. It is just a matter of being able to get the help you need working through these tough moments. And I think that is something that helped me early on was, hey, There's a bigger goal in mind here. Let's keep chugging along. Don't let the dollar signs define who you are, because there's so much more inside than just a paycheck earner. All right. That's the idea. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct, as you know, and they are fully licensed in the U.S. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you, so you can focus on your therapy goals. Short questionnaire helps identify your needs and preferences, and our 12 plus years of experience and industry-leading match fulfillment rate means we typically get it right the first time. So you go with BetterHelp. It's almost like having a manager who has wonderful feel for what their roster looks like, what their roster needs. If you're the person that's designed to be in that leadoff spot, BetterHelp is going to put you in that leadoff spot. That's what you can take away from this. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 6 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. So what you need to do right now, sign up. You get 10% off at betterhelp.com/BID. That's betterhelp.com/BID. Remember, when life feels overwhelming, therapy can help. BetterHelp can help. That's BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/BID.
The last item I want to hit you with, before we get to any lingering things that might be on your mind or final thoughts and nugs, is the Imai. Like just kind of his admitting, and I know you're not, you weren't born in another country, so your insight here can only take us so far, but I think you have a lot of insight having like worked in the game and done this stuff. Like he's admits, I think how candid he is remarkable, that he's saying he's admitting to having trouble adjusting to basically every facet of what's going on here, including off the field. Do you have any take on that? Any reaction?
I do. Number one, I'm with you. I love the fact that he has been so open and honest. I want to remind people that if you're starting to sour on what may be perceived as a soft individual, this is a guy who's telling you, I wanted to be the anti-hero when it comes to teaming up with all of these superstars. I wanted to be the one who takes them down. I don't want to be a part of that collective. I want to create something on my own. And he said so and admitted that the challenges in doing so and how he was going to figure that out was something that was attractive to him. So this is an individual who has welcomed this challenge. Let's start there. What we're seeing, I think, is him just admitting so publicly that it has not been easy, that it has absolutely been every bit of the challenge he expected it to be. And I want to still believe that he's still looking forward to being able to come out on the other side of this as the player that he expects himself to be. He expects to be able to have an impact. And I can appreciate every bit of that. Mm-hmm. Every bit of that, because this is a player who's comfortable enough to share those emotions, who he was comfortable enough to come out and say it when the popular opinion, and this isn't something that we're ever used to hearing from Japanese-born players, right? We're used to, like, as PC and as buttoned up and as respectful of a response as you can get from these guys. And for him to just come out and go, I don't want any part of that. I want to be my own dude. And I want to start something somewhere else. Actually, I'm going to take those sons of bitches down. Like, just to hear that from him initially was like, ooh, this dude got a little flavor to him.
Yeah.
I think I like this. And as somebody who's been over in Japan multiple times, played over in Japan, I can 100% see where he's coming from when he's talking about the way that we prepare. Just everything that we do at the ball field is different, like from when we eat, right? He's like, I'm used to going home and eating. We're eating here at the ballpark. You know, hey, Imai, I want you to remember that was something that was negotiated by the players. They wanted to be able to come and have mini meals at the ballpark. So that was a discussion they had with ownership. And we're like, hey, feed us. And Imai's like, brother, I'd like to go home and eat if that's cool, but I guess I'm fucking eating here. So just little stuff like that is absolutely going to be a part of the growth and the acclimation process for him. But I just want to remind people, I don't know that this is a dude that's getting soft. I think you should appreciate the fact that he's being as open and as forthright with his experience as he is, because that's something that I truly appreciate as a competitor and as somebody who cares about the human side of what these guys go through. So I would encourage folks who might not understand where Imai is coming from, just do a little homework, do a little reading, and maybe you might find yourself getting on board with this guy being more than willing to accept the challenges that he faces as a player in a new culture, not only how he's living his life, but also the profession and how the culture is different than what he's used to.
You got any lingering thoughts before we get to Nugs?
Just Mason Miller is a absolute fucking animal. That's it.
Just keeps going, right?
Yep. Just keeps punching tickets. It's
You see those swings Rosarena was putting on him last night?
Oh, buddy.
I was like, I don't usually screenshot things, but I was like, I want to keep this one. I might put it as my desktop background. Yeah.
How far away and dude, let's be honest. If I would have had a bat in my hand at the live VP that you saw, you had a front row seat.
I know. Yeah. Would have been just as bad.
I would have looked like Randy. Randy would have looked like me. Randy did look like me. Like, there's no difference in me, who's a left-handed hitter, standing in on Mason Miller, right-handed with a bat in my hand, waving at that shit, than Randy Arozarena, a big league all-star, waving at that shit right-handed.
If I had stepped into Mason Miller in outside of Pittsburgh when we were there last winter, or 2 winters, whatever it is. I mean, I think my hands legitimately would have been so sweaty with the bat in my hand that like any movement would have sent the bat like smashing. I'm nervous. I'm getting sweaty palms and sweaty feet sitting here talking about it. It's just so stupid. Like, I was in the batting cage. The last time I was in a batting cage, I got it up to 80, and it was just like, what am I doing? I was like, I'm getting so tired trying to make decent contact here that it was like, and I wasn't thinking about Mason Miller at the time because he didn't exist in the pro game, but but just thinking about it now, just add 21 miles an hour to that, or add 9 miles or 10 miles an hour to it and make it just the nastiest snapper you've ever seen in your fucking life. Anyway,
that's great. That's great. Hit me with the nug, chef.
All right, let's do it. Chandler Simpson. He is the 7th player in the wild card era to hit 400 or better, but with a sub 950 OPS through the first 15. No, I mean, I don't care either, but it's just like a weird stat combination. Through the first 15 games of a season. Eduardo Nunez was the last to do it in 2016, so a decade ago. Francisco Cervelli, Marlon Byrd, Scott Brocious, and both Mike Lansing and Ray Sanchez in 1998.
Love everything about that dude's game, Chandler Simpson. Love it all.
You must have people. The game is so much better when there's even one of these people in the game.
So much fun. So much fun.
And I still remember being driving to Cincinnati for the opening day, that we'd getting off the plane and then driving to the field with Buster and the Hoffer, B. Lark. And that was right in the Billy Hamilton kind of hype era.
Sure.
And, Billy had his moments or whatever. I'm not disparaging him, but you see something like what Chandler Simpson's doing and you're being like, well, this could be the full realization of what we were kind of hoping Billy Hamilton. And some of this is a real life thing. Some of this is a fantasy thing for people who play that, where it's the thought of 75 stolen bases or 100 stolen bases is just incredibly tantalizing. Mike Trout's homer was the 409th of his career last night. That ties Mark Teixeira on the all-time list. He's now 3 away from tying Alfonso Soriano. Gerardo Perdomo is the 3rd shortstop in Diamondbacks franchise history with multiple 3-hit, 2 stolen base games in his career, joining Tony Womack, who had one in 01 and 02, and Chris Owings in 2014 and 2017. Your fantasy nightmare last night, Ryan Weathers, he is the first pitcher in Yankees franchise history to allow 4 homers but strike out 10 or more batters in an outing. The last pitcher to do that in baseball overall prior to Weathers was Sonny Gray on July 20th, 2024. If you saw the tweet, that's fine. I doubt you did. It didn't do very big numbers. But can you name the only pitcher in MLB history to have 2 such starts in his career? It's only happened 17 total times, so it's a very rare thing for 10 strikeouts and 4 homers. There's one person who did it twice.
One person who's done that twice.
Twice. And it's very appropriate for the type of pitcher he was. All-time great.
Nolan?
Nope. 90s primarily into the 00s. We're familiar with him. He might have one of the great nicknames in baseball history. He goes by El Burrito.
Oh, wow. Really? Wow. Yeah.
Shill in 97 with the Phils and 2001 with the D-backs.
Split wasn't splitting.
No, that's what I said last night. CJ Abrams is the first shortstop in Nationals Expos history to have 6 or more homers through the first 16 games of a season. Byron Buxton last night against the poor Red Sox. He had 4 hits and 2 homers. It's his first game with 4 and 2 since August 27th, 2017. So not almost 9 years ago. Mizorowski, it was a whatever start, but he keeps racking up an interesting combination of strikeouts and minimal hits allowed. 33 strikeouts, no more than 13 hits allowed through the first 4 starts of a season, age 24 or younger in the wild card era. A lot of qualifiers there. Mizorowski in 26, Strider in 23, and Freddie Peralta in 2018. Love this one. The only pitchers in Twins and Senators history to have starts featuring 0 runs, 0 walks, and 10 or more strikeouts in a game against the Red Sox: Walter Johnson, Bert Blyleven, and Mick Abel.
Wow.
Or as it was pronounced on the stream last night multiple times, Mickabell. Most games with a homer and stolen base among active players. Jose Ramirez did that last night. That's 35 for his career. Mike Trout has 38. Shohei Ohtani has 37. Only active players with more. And those are the Nugs.
Well, shout out Mickabell.
Yeah. I like that better, actually. But you have any final thoughts for us on this 2-man pod today?
Final thoughts. Hey, we got we were talking about it. We were joking about it. But it came to fruition. We had ourselves a pitchers duel last night at Sutter Health Park here in West Sacramento. The A's would prevail. Love it when that happens. The A's and Rangers jockeying for position at the top of the AL West right now. But yeah, shout out Mackenzie Gore. Shout out Jeffrey Springs. Springs backs up a 7-inning, 1-hit shutout performance against the Yankees with another dandy last night. And all I'm going to say about the Athletics, Jay, we're not at full strength. The offense has not even begun to scratch the surface of what they're capable of. We're getting great performances from guys out in the bullpen. Mark Leiter Jr. fucking split was absolutely disgusting last night.
Son of Mark Leiter.
That's correct. Nephew of Al.
Cousin of Jack.
I had a funny moment when we were in New York. I was talking to Al, and he was like, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to get down to the ballpark, but I need you to walk up to my nephew, and I know he can be a bit prickly, but I want you to embrace him and tell him that his uncle loves him." And so he got on the bus, and Mark sat right in front of me, and he turned around and looked at me, and I just kind of looked at him very awkwardly, like this. And he was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why are you staring at me like this?" And I said, "I just want you to envision me right now with double underhooks slowly wrapped around your back, arms coming up over your shoulders, with a gentle kiss on your cheek. No, that's from your uncle." And he was like, oh, okay. How's he doing? Is he here? Is he? And I was like, "Oh, no, he couldn't make it, blah, blah, blah." But yeah.
Oh, God, where is he?
Yeah, no, he's Mark. I've thoroughly enjoyed having Mark on the team, and I think he'll continue to do good things for us down there in that bullpen. So those are my final thoughts. The boys in the green and gold, while still not at full health and might be a while, still finding ways to get dubs.
Nice. Did not foresee a Mark Leiter final thought. Mark Leiter Jr., Al Leiter final thought. The Leiter family. My final thought, My final thought. Just looking forward to Ohtani. And primarily, I'm looking forward to Ohtani tonight, and I'm looking forward to kicking your guys' ass tomorrow on Family Feud.
I mean,
I've been saying that for a long time, and a lot of people are starting to say that I've lost my edge. I'm seeing that more and more now, which makes me want to really make it painful. You know, it's a funny line to walk, right? Because I still want it to be an entertainment product, but I'm becoming less and less concerned with its entertainment value tomorrow, and more concerned with just securing the dub. So we'll see how that goes.
I want you to know, and this is what's going to happen, is you're going to find yourself putting this shit together, and you're going to laugh in the moment. And then when and if, because that's a huge if, but when and if somehow we don't win, you're not going to feel good about it. You're going to feel dirty because you're going to know that it took damn near all of your brain power and just a whole, like, a contrived session of anger that you had to put forth to make that happen. You're not going to feel good about it. You're going to feel dirty.
I think there's probably some truth to that. I think there's also some truth to the idea that some of the people are correct in that I've gotten too easy on you guys. I've just simply been giving you guys too easy of content, and that it's time to channel kind of like the Jayhay of yore, and make sure that this is one you guys remember heading into the weekend. So those are my final thoughts. It's been a fun pod today, but yeah, it's going to be more fun for me tomorrow. Not as much fun for you.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. Jared, hope you got that roof over your head, buddy. It's a big day for Carabas. We will see you Thursday. We out.